Hi, I'm Jessica Graham, founder of J. Graham Consulting and the host of Your Leadership on the Line, a podcast conversation series with leaders about the moments that have shaped who they are and their identity as a leader. Today, we have Madison Gunter III. Thank you, Madison, for being here.
Absolutely.
It's such an honor to have this conversation with you. I am so excited to learn a little bit more about you and for our audience, more importantly, to learn more about you. Why don't you share with us your title, give us your credentials, if you will, and the role that you currently have as a leader.
So my name is Madison Gunter III, and I am a vice president for Salesforce and under the procurement organization, which is official title is vice president of Supplier Governance and Compliance. Mm-hmm. Essentially what that means is that I'm responsible for our global procurement organization and just to kind of give clarification around procurement, it's the folks that buy stuff at a company. Every company has it, and I'm responsible for a number of distinct areas. One of them is all of our small businesses. I'm responsible for our sustainability and sustainability and human rights. I have what's called risk and compliance, which is made up of third-party risk. Basically what that means is if you have a company out there that works for you and they're doing some shady stuff, you could be in trouble for that company that you've hired to work for you. And then the last thing is called supplier community impact. So that's kind of one of my favorite areas. I shouldn't say that. It's kind of like having kids, right? You shouldn't say that kid is not like that kid better. But it's a favorite area because that allows us to really be impactful in the communities that at Salesforce resides in. So we get to do really, really great things like we promote a supplier technology cohort. We have a program that works with small businesses getting Net 15, which is a pay cycle that allows them to get more money faster.
Yeah, I like Net 15. That sounds great.
That sounds good. But stuff like that. So that's kind of one of my heartfelt areas, but it is also an area that is under what we would call part of my remit.
That's a big remit. So help us understand, how did you get to this large, significant remit for such a well-known global Fortune 100 company? I mean, everybody knows about Salesforce and Dreamforce. So what was your path in getting here?
Well, I will tell you this. First off, that remit wasn't what I started off with. It was inherited things that I got that were inherited, right? Historically, I've been in procurement. I've done various tasks in the world of supply chain and procurement. Even before that, I was in the business. I was in engineering. So that's kind of how I got to the technology space. And then just kind of found my groove within the procurement organization. Mind you, most folks don't really know what that is. And me being one of them, I couldn't spell procurement probably prior to getting into it. But it allowed me to be super versatile. So how I got into it was circumstance. And that's just one of the reasons why I believe in the environment that you're in, mentorship, leadership. I just happened to be in a meeting very similar to this, having a conversation with a mentor, and at that point she told me, "Oh, I can't meet with you next because I have I'm on a council for a hiring council, and I said, oh, and then she looked at me and goes, you should apply for the job. And the rest is history. I got the job and I just progressed from there. And that was, I hate to tell you how long ago, but that was darn near 20 years ago. So, and I just went from there, and I just inherited other areas. I was able to find some niche areas that I really was passionate about, things like that. So it was, again, if you told me back when I was in undergraduate school, when I first started or got out of college back in years ago, hey, you're going to be a procurement executive at a Fortune 500 company, I would have been like, what? What is that? So it really depends on, what your passion is, how you follow it, and, kind of what the things are laid out for you.
That's true. It makes me think of this saying, fortune favors the prepared.
Yep.
And you seem like the type of leader and executive who is always prepared. How did you develop that skill set of being ready for an opportunity and being diligent or loyal to your craft?
I've been called an overthinker.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, it has its pros and cons, to be quite honest with you. But I just started really embracing it. And to go back to your question, how has that resonated into my career? When I get a job or have a remit, I don't just think about, what I'm doing here, how I'm doing this. I have these directives. I have these initiatives I have. I think about, what are the adjacent things? What else can I do? This is interesting. Yeah. A lot of times too, I end up taking things that most folks don't want. Now there's a reason for that. This is my strategy. Don't peep my game.
Put us on.
Okay. Most people don't think about that, but when you're in corporate America, you look at what can root you.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Root. Good word. And I say that because as in a plant, if you cut off a weed, I like gardening, so I'll have a lot of these. You cut off a plant, right? A weed outside.
It's still back. It's still there.
It's still there, right? So you got to actually dig into the ground to get the roots to pull it out. So if you root yourself in a company, what that mean? I mean, they can't just get rid of you all willy-nilly, right? They got to go down in. So I root myself. I go in this area, that area, this area. And then before long, when those conversations behind the scenes are happening and your name pop up, Madison Gunter. Nah, we're not going. Let's go. Who's next? And that's the reason why.
He's coming up. We keep hearing about this guy, Madison.
Again and again, right?
He's everywhere.
Say that's what I'm trying to do.
I love it.
That's what I'm trying to be.
And when we crossed paths a while back, you would always tell me. You remember what you would tell me?
This is chess, it ain't checkers.
Correct.
Now, I didn't create that.
I know.
Okay, I got that from somebody.
It is a saying in the colloquial universe. We all like it. Chess, not checkers. And
exactly.
I remember coming to you with, I can't believe this happened. And they did it. Hey, you say, hey, chess, not checkers. And it would always root me. Speaking of being rooted, it would reorient me. I was like, that's true. Let's not get too topsy-turvy about these little discretions and things that are happening, because there's a bigger agenda at play.
Right.
And let's focus on that.
No one's going to be strategic about where you're going in life or your career or your rise or anything that you're doing but you. You're responsible for that. A lot of times I have young people come in and, early in career, and I mentor them and I'm telling them these things, and I'm like, you do realize this is on you.
It's your job.
It's not me, right? I'm gonna help you and do what I can for you, but at the end game is you. You have to be responsible for these things. And so that's why I always say to folks, it's chess, because you got to be strategic about your own career, about what you're doing, how you're going to, manifest your way through life. And that does bleed into other things too, as far as life is concerned.
Well, that's a great segue, because I was reminding myself there's so many pieces of you. You are an executive at a Fortune 100 company. There's other sides of you. How would you describe those other sides of you, the other roles that you play at home, in the community?
I'm a dad. I have 2 sons. They're adults, but they're sons.
They're still your sons.
Yeah, they're still my sons.
Yeah.
I'm a husband. I'm a leader within the community. I have currently I'm not on any boards, but I've been board members, board chairs for nonprofits. I seek out areas to support and help. That's part of my makeup. My build is my DNA. When I say build, my DNA is that. And you know, my passion drives me. And we all have to have something that helps drive us, right, in life. I'm a faith-driven person. Sometimes I gotta, you know, be still, cause you know all the stuff that's going on. I have to be still. I saw this thing the other day, and actually it's very interesting. I know this is kind of off tangent, but I'm gonna say it anyway because it makes sense. So within the executive organization, we do a thing called Ask Us Anything.
Oh, I love Ask Us Anything. Those are fun.
And we bring in the whole organization,
Really?
all of procurement. So, I mean, globally, everyone, right?
How many you have?
Well, I have 3 other peers that are vice presidents, right? And then there is a senior vice president who we all report to.
Sure.
But she's not invited.
Oh.
Because we want the file and rank and folks that are just wherever you are to be able to ask these questions. And I say that because I've been asked probably more intimate questions than anyone else just because of my makeup and who I am.
Interesting.
And
you think people can tell that about you as a leader, that like you're open to sharing more?
Oh, absolutely.
Do you think it matters to leadership?
But I think it matters if you're authentic.
Right.
It doesn't matter if you're not authentic because you playing, right? And when I say you playing, it's just you acting. But I've been asked, what is your makeup? What is the go-to for you and how you're so open? I have an open door policy. And it doesn't have to be in my organization. You can be in any organization and just book time. And as long as I have time, and my goal, my policy is I will answer. I'll be as transparent as I can. There are some times when I'll say, I can't tell you that, right?
If I tell you, I have to.
Yeah, I ain't saying that. See, that's an HR. He's trying to get me. But that's an HR case right there.
It's a joke. It's a joke.
But yeah, so I tell people, because this is important to me. Every morning I have a scripture. And it's a non-denominational scripture that I read. Now, I'm not reading it because I'm trying to be holier than thou. I'm reading it to put a base on myself so I can be a better person when I'm talking to people and when I'm supporting people and when I'm leading people. So it's not like I'm trying to be a minister or teach and preach. That's not it. It's really for me to be able to
be rooted.
That's it. Exactly.
And to give yourself the space to be reflective, to be open to truth, to understand that you can learn. Some people call it meditation.
Absolutely.
Some people call it prayer.
Yep.
Some people call it setting an intention.
Devotion, whatever it may be in your own world. But for me, it's important because, I mean, having these different entities within procurement, any given day, you have 1, 2, 3 different craziness going on.
Yeah, it could really just be any given day, a different scenario.
And some days there's 2 or 3 different scenarios.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, especially, come on now, think about the time that we're in.
Yeah.
And what's going on.
We got tariffs.
We got stuff.
Is that affecting businesses?
Yes.
Do you want to say anything about that?
It's the way that it affects a supply chain or procurement organization is future state. So when even the announcement, even before the tariffs were documented, the rumor of like there's going to be tariffs or there's going to be a change, the organization has to look at what does that mean for things that are produced outside. And when I say produced outside, is you got to keep in mind, it could be people, soft skills, right? It could be software. It doesn't have to be a physical box or something like that's being shipped, right? You have to think about it in that respect. And so you have to make accommodations for it. So what is the supply chain doing currently? What is it? What risk are there? And when I say risk are there, are we going to ban a certain country? Are we going to put a tariff on this country and not? So what's plan B, right? So all of those things have to be put into perspective and taken into consideration, which is interesting because most people who are not in this world, like the supply chain procurement world, you kind of would never think about that.
Yeah.
Right?
You only think about it when it's a problem. Why don't we have enough eggs? Why is coffee so expensive? That's when you start to think about it on the consumer side.
That's
but
right.
You're already thinking about it and seeing it coming, 6 months ahead of time?
That's right. You have to prepare for it.
Yeah,
right? Do you shift? So anyway, that's enough about that. That's deep.
It is.
Yes,
it is.
It gets deep. Yeah. Definitely.
Do you like what you do?
I do. I mean, most people could say that they like maybe, but I like a pretty broad range of the things that I do. I mean, there's times when I'm like, oh man, I gotta go do this. I gotta deal with this. And there's conversations I have to have. And there's conversation. Think about it. There's a layoff, right?
It's tough. It's tough.
I'm not feeling that, right? As a leader, I believe in people, and I'm not feeling that. So I'd be lying to you if I said, yeah, I like everything about it. It's great. No, there's areas where I'm not all that comfortable. I don't feel good about. But then there's areas where, like I was saying, I get to make some impact. I get to rah-rah people up to do certain things. So
you are a rah-rah guy. I experienced that about you. I just have to say, I appreciate that about you, because even when we talked about doing this episode, you planted ideas in me that fueled me, that nurtured me, and it's so supportive. I think that's one of your leadership core identities, is who you are as a leader, is you see the potential in people and you encourage them. Talk to me a little bit about your role as a leader and how you encourage people, maybe even beyond what they can see for themselves.
It's funny that you asked this because today was my time with my executive coach. So I have an executive coach, right? They give you executive. Executive coach.
I feel like all executives should have a coach.
Some of us, yeah.
It's not a negative thing, though. It doesn't have to be because nothing's wrong. It can be part of maintaining your excellence.
Well, that's it. He one of the things he did was a stakeholder 360, right? So we were reviewing the stakeholder 360. Stakeholder 360 is basically your peers, your boss, the people who report to you. They take a 360 around, get different views, and then you talk about what's good, what's not so good, what could you improve upon, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, that was today. And to go back to your question was, what kind of leader am I? Resoundingly, I got this really humanistic, positive, people wanting to see people progress and support and things of that nature. And I got that back from him. So it's funny that you asked me that question, because that's exactly what I got back just 2 hours ago. He was saying, man, I am so, and this guy, he's from the East Coast, so he was just super animated about it. But yeah, that was one of the things. Again, I have had a lot of, let me think about it. I've had a lot of bosses throughout my career.
We shared the same boss at one point.
Yes, we did, which wasn't that great of a boss. Wasn't that? Anyway, that's a whole nother story. But with that, honestly, I've probably only had 3 good bosses. And I've had to have had 12, 13 bosses throughout my career.
Yeah.
That's not, yeah. And I've tried to mimic the goods that I've been able to get from people and bosses and leaders.
Yeah.
So like things I thought were great for either my career or my, my own self-worth. Those were the things that I got and I wanted to mimic, and I said, I'm gonna put that in my portfolio. And so when I'm leading, that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah. So what might a couple examples be if you're saying, oh, these are the 3 or 4 wonderful bosses that I want to imitate and be like? What are those things for you?
To get to know me.
Okay.
One of the things is I learned that if someone gets to know you and they believe in you, they will follow you. They will follow you. You don't have to pay them the most. They want to get paid, don't get me wrong.
Correct.
You don't have to pay them the most. You don't have to give them a promotion. They will, because they believe in you. They
feel seen. They
Absolutely.
feel seen for who they are and the strengths that they're contributing to the team.
Absolutely.
Right? Everyone wants to feel seen.
All my direct reports, I know who their kids are. I know every one of the kids. I know who the significant other is. I've had people come to me and give me personal conversations. Let me tell you, I'll give you this. And this is a testament. Last year, 2 years ago, I had someone on my team pass away. That was a direct report of mine. Now, I'm gonna give you a little understanding of this. They were in Indianapolis, Indiana, right? And this was a young person that had come up through and had worked for me like 3.5 years. Okay. I promoted her. She had 2 kids. In fact, one time she went out on maternity, came back and got a promotion.
Hey,
Who
she
does
was
that?
doing great work.
That's right. Before, but it was, we were setting it up beforehand.
Yeah.
Point I was making here is I still communicate with her husband, and she had 2 kids, and I went to Indianapolis. I was willing to do it on my own dime, which the company paid for, but I was willing to do it on my own dime. I went there, went into the thank you, service, because they called it something else. They don't call it what we call it, but you know what I was trying to figure out. I went to the services and I just sat, and when I went to tell them how sorry I was, because they had no idea who I was, right? You would be so surprised. You would have thought I was family. I had never met these people before in real life.
They had heard about you.
The mother-in-law, not even the mother-in-law grabbed me and hugged me.
Oh, wow.
So why am I telling y'all this? I'm telling y'all this is because, back to your original question, you said part of leadership. That is part of leadership. That is getting to know who works for you, who works with you, who works beside you, who works above you. And that's my secret sauce, is to understand that. Get to be a part of someone's life.
Yeah.
Be a part of not just the 9 to 5, they come in, how you doing, whatever. No, I know people's kids. And that's what really counts.
Well, it makes me think of that saying, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Damn, I love it. I'm gonna borrow that.
It's you. You live it.
I'm gonna borrow it, but I like the way you said it, though.
And I think it's a really important practice of culture building of teams, whether you're the boss or the peer or the colleague. Before you start telling everyone all the things we could do and what I think we could do, you have to say, and first and foremost, I care about you as a human. There's a certain level of dignity and respect. We may not agree on everything, but you are owed a certain level of dignity and respect as a person who breathes air on the same planet that we all share together.
I agree 110%. That is so true. And those are as you said, those are kind of my tenets of life. Yeah. It's the things I live by.
I love to hear this. So being an effective leader and building a healthy team includes caring about people, doing the work to take the time to get to know them. I'm interested in the other side of that. You mentioned that not all of the people you've worked for have been the best.
Right.
Why do you think that happens? I'm sure that people don't wake up and say, hey, I want to be like really not the best leader. I'm sure most people are trying to do the best that they can. What do you think are some of the things that might get in the way of someone being a human-centered leader and supporting a healthy culture of the team?
Unfortunately, I think it's part of the person. You know, they just maybe not have that or are strong in that area of being humanistic. Like, that's just not a developmental part of them. One. And two is, I think the majority of leaders, unfortunately, were never taught how to really be a leader. And that's hard. My world is tech, and that happens a lot in tech companies, because tech companies are not notorious like for with other companies like big companies that spend a lot of money in developing that part of leadership. They spend a lot of money, but the part of leadership they're focused on is the technology part of leadership, and not necessarily the
human part.
There you go. And so I think that the majority of the time people were just not taught that. Now, they're good individuals and they're good human beings. I never said that they weren't good human beings.
Sure.
Now, there's a couple of might have been, kind of testy.
We've all had one of those people. You're like, something's wrong with you.
Exactly,
Something is not right in there.
Yeah. But for the most part, they're decent and good human beings, but they're just not
good leaders.
There you go. And so what I look at that a lot of times is simply that they weren't taught, right? They didn't have, or they didn't have good mentorship. They didn't have people who they could look at and say, oh, that's okay. I like how I feel when that, I'm gonna use that when I become a leader.
Yeah, you're so right, Madison. You're right about so many things. That's why I talk to you. But
My
I'm
wife
thinking.
would say that though, you know.
Fair, touche. She got a longer track record.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm thinking of a client that I was working with just yesterday. We had a whole conversation. This is a very educated person who has a terminal degree, a PhD.
Wow.
They've worked at a top academic institution for 15, 20 years. Obviously, very much cares about their team. And we talked about the difference between relational leadership and structural leadership.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Relational leadership being something that we kind of innately do, like just be nice, be kind, be empathetic, try to be clear.
Right.
That alone is not going to take you the distance, especially as you rise in the ranks, because you need a structure for a meeting cadence, a structure for how performance is evaluated, a structure for strategy design. So relational leadership, structural leadership, right? Many people are able to do relational leadership intuitively. I think structural leadership is even more important as the team becomes larger, right? Being able to clarify this is the structure and the container, if you will, for how we move as a team. These are the protocols and policies, not to be rigid about it, but just to set clear expectations, because what you may tell to 2 people and you can just get along fine on the side of the hallway, when you got 20 people or 200, you need the structure. And so I think one of the things I'm realizing, even as I'm coaching leaders and working in my consultancy, is helping that people come to that realization that it's actually, you're a great person, good people, bad process.
Right.
Right? Your processes don't match your intentions. If your intention was, we all sit together once a week, well, you didn't actually name that. So now the people aren't coming to the weekly meeting because you didn't say, this is a foundational expectation of our team.
Oh, yeah.
You got to be clear.
Those expectations. And I think that, and you said this, expectation has to have a cousin communication.
Oh, I like that. The cousin, yes.
The cousin, right? You have to have both of them, right? Because one without the other just doesn't work, right? You can have the expectation. I have a certain level of expectation. And it's funny because I have people who've worked with me. I I have a story. I got a story for everything.
We like
but I got
stories.
a story.
Yeah.
So I have someone who works for me and has worked with me forever. Not forever, but at least 5 years.
Yeah.
And she understands my expectation. And it's funny because whenever I have an open rec or position, people will go to her and say, hey,
What does he want?
what kind of leader is he? And she's quick to, because I'm just, I'm cordial. I have spent time with people. When I talk to them, I'm into like having a conversation, not just like peripheral. And so they ask that question, and she's quick to say, don't get it twisted. He has expectations,
Yes.
like serious expectations. So why am I saying this? Okay, so go back to expectation plus the cousin, right? Communication. Well, I had this young guy who happens to be part of my fraternity, and he's in Atlanta, so he just kind of locked on to me. He was like, he's early in career, and he's like, oh man. So he had one-on-ones with me beforehand, and so, but I had an expectation for him to do something because he's part of our tech team, and so I had to have a meeting with him, and I called him out on this meeting and let him know, no, you are not meeting expectations, right?
Yeah.
And I did it in a forum where I didn't begrudge him. I mean, I didn't make him feel like this big, but I did let him know that even though I adore the young man, I think he's a great person. He's early in career, but he has to understand that expectations are there. And what was that cousin that he didn't do? Communicate. He did not communicate, right? I communicated what my expectations were, but he didn't communicate back. And so that's why I use that as an example is expectations, the cousin of expectation is communication.
That's interesting because I think sometimes people feel like, I don't have to tell you. Where's that energy coming from? Do you think it was a conscious decision, or you think it was just like a misunderstanding?
For him, I think it was, he didn't know.
Right. And so then you helped him to know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And he waited an enormous amount of time before he communicated, and he didn't respond back, and there was a lot of missed things. And I thought, okay, this is a teachable moment.
Yeah. Communication is so important. And it sounds like in that narrative that you helped that individual who's a burgeoning leader. He's in the beginning stages of his journey, but you helped him to come to that understanding. And I think that's what it's about. It's a give and take. It's an exchange of information and an opportunity. Some people will take the opportunity. Some people may not. But I think that's one of the things I have had to learn is not everyone wants that opportunity, right? And that was a difficult thing for me to learn as a leader and myself, is that as much as I want to grow and to learn and to change, for whatever reason, it could be the moment they're in their life, it could be the circumstances in their life, it could be their core identity. Not everyone is always willing to learn in that moment. So I think leadership is also about acknowledging the space that person is in and trying to meet them where they are a little bit.
I agree. But you know what? I would hold myself somewhat responsible if that moment was there and I knew that it was a teachable moment.
Of course.
And that he didn't know. Now, I could have been very well, sit on the pedestal and go, he didn't meet expectations, and go to his leadership and, and say, oh, that guy's not a very good person. He didn't meet expectation, blah, blah, blah. But that wasn't, what does that help?
It doesn't help. It actually does harm. To withhold feedback actually does harm. Yeah. And I think that there is a lot of research about how people may feel more or less comfortable giving feedback to people based on their identities, right? They don't want to share something constructive. And that can often be, I've seen over the years, a real impact on someone's career because maybe they did not know. Absent of Madison happening to take the time to care, that person didn't know. And it doesn't mean that they're not coachable.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree. 100%. 100% agree.
I really admire that about you, Madison. I think that you give a lot of feedback. And I just want to take a quick, brief moment to roll back because I feel like when we crossed paths some years ago, you were in a very different space in your career.
Oh.
I was wondering if you want to reflect on that. I could imagine at the time that I was witnessing, there was a narrative that people were saying is this person is not what we need, or this person is not delivering in a certain way. And I always felt like, well, there was no communication, expectations weren't clear, there's some terrible leadership happening, but somehow it became a container that you were responsible for as opposed to the leadership being held accountable. And now look where you are.
Right.
I mean, that's gotta say something. And that's why I think there's a lot of people out there who may have been in a space that wasn't aligned to their gifts. And a poor leader made the unfortunate decision of saying, that means therefore there's no gifts.
Right. I think that when you really look at careers and how you manifest your way through your career, there are going to be peaks and valleys. There's always going to be peaks and valleys. There's going to be times where you're hitting it out of the park. And then there's going to be times where you are going to be super unsure of yourself. That was one of the times when I was super unsure of myself. I had come from an organization that I was doing exceptionally well. I was top of the chart, doing well. And then I got moved to I kind of agreed to go to another organization where it was the leadership, first off, was not the ideal leadership that I would have wanted to engage with. And that was not only the person who I was leading me or us at the time, but the person above them and the person above them. That wasn't a good fit. Did I know that? No, I didn't know that.
There's no way to know.
Yeah.
You just go and then you go, uh-oh.
Exactly. And unfortunately, what you don't always know is how to recognize that, right? And when you're able to recognize that, like now I would recognize that. I'd be like, oh no, this is not good. Yeah, this is not good for me. But at that particular time, it wasn't a good fit. I didn't know how to recognize it, and I just kind of went along to get along, right? And so it was not the best time, I guess, for me to shine, but, and this will happen when you get older, you understand that you're in a place, there's a reason why you're in a place, whether it's to learn from it or to gather something. If I wasn't in that place, this conversation probably wouldn't happen.
Come on, brother.
You and I wouldn't have connected. We knew each other.
We did.
But we didn't connect.
Tight, like, yeah.
No.
That was the
I
space.
wasn't Big Brother on my tape.
Hey.
Okay. But no, all fairness and funness. As I reflect, there was a reason why I was in that space.
Yeah.
Even though it wasn't the best space for me.
You're deeply rooted.
Yeah. It was a reason there that I was there. And then think about it. When I left that space, I honed in on my business skills because I started my own business, which basically propelled me to where I am now because it gave me a whole nother lens on how to support businesses in the procurement organization.
Because you were living it. It was very personal.
You better believe it.
Interesting.
The mortgage still had to be paid.
How do I need to make this work? And so then that was actually a fuel and accelerant to your ascension into the current role, because then you have intimate, personal subject matter expertise on what small businesses need, what small businesses are struggling with. It's not just a thing you read in an article. It's something you've lived. So tell us about your business, if you'd like. Or is it's on?
I paused my business.
Okay.
I have a consulting business that is specifically geared towards procurement and business development. Yep. So I hone in on a number of actually not a number, actually three consistent things. One is businesses that are currently that working with enterprise companies, but they're what we call not at the table, which means that when a organization, so when you're in procurement, you sit here, but you buy for the organizations
Right.
within the business, right?
Yes.
The organization, when I call it organization or business unit, they're going to go left, right? They're going to start a new technology, new service, whatever it may be.
Then you got to go hustle and find all the stuff they need.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you're at the table, then you already know they're going left.
Right.
So you already gonna build out what left looks like, and guess who's the incumbent that's gonna be sitting there when a new contract comes out? So that was one area. Second area
Chess,
was
not
around,
checkers.
hey, strategy. Second area, and I'll finish with this, is I was instrumental in looking at business development. So think about it. You have a number of companies that, an example is, it's a janitorial company. You work for a big corporation and you do the janitorial for that company. This is top of mind, right?
Yeah.
Well, they also do power washing and window washing.
True.
You already sitting there. Why wouldn't you bid for that? Now, in order to bid for those contracts, you got to have, assets around that. So I would come in and teach you how we're going to do this. Are we going to organically do it? Or, hey, let's go buy those small companies over there, bring them in.
And to be under your umbrella. Okay, so I need a second session with you.
Okay.
That's a small business owner.
That's billable rates. Now.
Okay.
That's different. That's billable
Okay,
rate.
bill of rate. Respect. Absolutely. That's so cool. If you have any tips for our listeners, if a listener right now is a small business owner, any top of mind tips?
Ooh, I just spoke on this at the Congressional Black Caucus. Generative and or agentics AI. And what that really means for small businesses, how do they, not to go too deep, but how do they get on board with it and use it? Because large enterprise companies are looking for that as they hire companies to come on board. Right? They are looking for companies that have a strategy / service around AI, whether it be generative or agentics, more specifically agentics AI, right? And so if I had any but any advice for small businesses, how does that specifically resonate within your business profile, whether it be part of your operations or is it part of your business development? How does that resonate? Because that is something that you are going to promote yourself as part of. And unfortunately, most small businesses, especially they're in marginal communities, have been really late to the party in technology.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was a participant and co-facilitator for an AI boot camp in East Oakland. And it was beautiful because a lot of the community members that we were serving were small business owners. And we were able to help connect the dots between opportunity for your business, but also community in a way that felt authentic and reflected to the values of that community. And I think for whatever reason, sometimes there's distance there.
Oh, yeah.
People have some suspicions. People have concerns, and they're not unfounded. But I think one of the best ways to address those concerns is to participate.
Oh, yeah.
Is to participate.
Have
in
an
the
understanding.
Yeah.
And not a peripheral understanding, a deep understanding of, okay, this is how the business I could help. And looking at, from a business development standpoint, what area am I going after and how do I promote that into the contracts that I'm trying to get. Now I got my procurement hat on, right?
Yep.
So if you come to me and you say, this is my vanilla based business and this is what we do, versus someone who comes to me and says, yeah, I got that, but also here's future state. This is what I'm looking at. This is how I'm using technology. That's a very different pitch than the first pitch.
I love it.
So yeah, that's what we're looking at now. So yeah, I've done a whole panel discussion on that last week in DC.
Well, thank you for sharing just a snippet of it with us.
Absolutely.
We appreciate your time. I want to give you the opportunity for any hot takes. I'm going to give you some quick ones, and then we're going to close on some hot takes. So quick hot take, Coke or Pepsi?
Pepsi.
Okay. Ranch or buffalo? Or no, ranch or blue cheese?
Blue cheese.
Okay. Beach or mountains?
Beach.
Me too. I'm a beach girl. Sneakers or dress shoes?
Dress shoes.
You that fly man. Okay. Any hot takes about your career as our listeners are hearing all the things that you are as a person, as a man, as a member of the community, as an executive? Hot takes on career development for people who are wanting to be in a position like yourself one day.
I would say the thing that identifies you is authenticity. And when you have authenticity in my space, you're talking to both sides of the table. So you're talking to your colleagues, you're talking to people who have to buy service, spend a lot of money on things, and to be authentic around that is something that you don't always see, right? And have that experience. On the other side of the table, being authentic with the person that you're buying from. I've had to have some super courageous, as we call them, conversations around, no, you did this, and this is not okay.
You told them that? You had to. It was your job.
Well, and, sometimes folks, they don't want to say it. They'll beat around the bush, and I got stories, but they'll beat around the bush. But I've been that person to be able to say, no, this wasn't okay.
Right. We're not going to renew our spend unless this is addressed.
Okay. Or sometimes it's too late.
Oh.
I've had those conversations where it's not good and we're not going to move forward.
Sorry for them.
Yeah. But somebody got to say it, because there's been times where, no one don't want to say anything, and no one wants to say anything.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's wrong.
That's why you're good at this role.
Why wouldn't you? Yeah.
Because you're authentic and you are a truth teller. And that's part of making sure that you're able to do your due diligence. Madison, this is such a gift.
Oh, we could talk all day.
We could just go all day. I know, we could go all day. Oh, thank you so much for taking the time
you're welcome.
to talk about your leadership on the line, to share a little bit about yourself with our audience. And of course, for all of you who are listening, if you have questions for Madison Gunter III, or myself, please comment below, share your thoughts, ask questions. That's what we're here for. We'll catch you next time on Your Leadership on the Line.